I'm Roberto Franchini. I'm here to talk about something that I would say Venkat introduced it so well. And we show you free tools to simplify your life and stop fighting useless battles. So we will try to automate code style, architecture compliance, and also some refactoring. I'm very happy because, well, it's not my first time here in Voxed, at the Voxed Lugano. I was here last time in 2018, so I'm very happy to be here again. And I'm very happy because Venkat did so good introduction to my speech. And I don't have to say something because I have only 43 minutes less. And you know, every project starts small with a small team where all agree on formatting rules, convention, naming, and structure, right? I don't think so. So everything with more than one person fight battles about braces, naming, spaces, etc., etc., etc. And I'm not sure that all is going so well in a solo team. As Venkat said, when I come back from holidays, I always complain about the code that I wrote 15 days ago. It always happens. So, I'm here in this field since 25 years, and every time is the same story. So, how much time we spend or waste while reviewing a pull request, just pointing out that you Andrea missed an empty line before the brace, and that line is missing. And but guys, we are programmers, we are not kids, and so we must automate all and stop fighting and start automating in some way. Also, this stuff. There is this XACD strips that you can find on the internet, of course, and it's very good about that because, of course, every one of us, it's a creative person in some way, even if we are engineers, and so wrote code in different ways, like poetry. So it's a mess. So let's start with the first tool we use. The context is, I'm a software architect or staff engineer. I prefer to work as a staff engineer, like instead of designing boxes with arrows. And I interact with more or less 40 developers in 4 teams right now. So we do a lot of code review because we are all working remotely, spread across the world, at least 3 continents. So we are unable to do pair programming just because we are on different time zones. First tool, pre-commit. So pre-commit is essentially a multi-language package manager for pre-commit hooks in Git. So maybe you don't know, but Git allows you to have some hooks attached to your commit, and this is a sort of package manager for that. So you can specify a list of hooks that you want to and pre-commit is able to manage the installation, execution of any hook written in any language, even Docker images, before every commit. So, what? Just install it, and then you have it installed in your project in the Git hooks folder, and then you can configure the list of hooks in a configuration file, essentially. Yes, okay, it's YAML again. And so you can fix what? You can fix the training white spaces, end of line, end of the file, remove the byte order mark, detect private keys. Anybody has pushed in production AWS private keys? I did once. It was amazing. We switch another mining, a Bitcoin mining server farm, essentially. So check YAML, check JSON, check XML, and so on. And you can also use it for run linter or formatter, remove training space, prevent big files, everything that you would like to do before committing code. There are a lot of hooks, and it's quite easy to write your own. Okay, let's go. View, where is? They changed always appearance and presentation mode. Perfect. Okay. So my config file right now has a lot of hooks, and it also has a look for a linter for YAML and Prettier for formatting Java code and XML and no more, because in this project there is only real code written in Java, no JS and other stuff. So what happens if I try to commit something that is bad? Like I don't know. Let's open this file and mess it up in some way. Okay, go to the command line. Mess it up. Mess up. Okay, it didn't fix anything. What about if I do that? Okay, now I'm unable to commit because the file was not well formatted, and so it fixed it, and now if it fixed it automatically, so now it's okay, and then I can commit, and if I want I can also push it. Okay, what about if a developer doesn't install the pre-commit on its own machine? There's no problem. We are using, I'm usually GitHub action. So there is an action that runs, execute the pre-commit hooks also on your CI system. And so if you mess up the code and push it to the CI will fail. So the lazy developer that didn't install a pre-commit on its own machine, push something and the build will fail. Okay. So we can reduce useless battles if we, for example, add a formatter, a code formatter, etc. by 50%. It's science. We tested it. Next step, another tool, ArchUnit, and there is also a .NET, but I don't think that here somebody is developing .NET. But if you, okay, I'm wrong. So a .NET version is also available. I don't know if it works. It works. Okay, perfect. And with ArchUnit, you are able to unit test your Java architecture. So can check dependencies between packages and classes, layers, slices, check for cyclic dependencies. It does so analyzing given Java bytecode, so the code should compile, at least. For example, you can avoid the use of Java util logging, Yoda time, system out, avoid using of any kind of library you don't want to use directly, and so on. And you can also enforce rules. So classes in package A should not import classes from package B. So enforce your architecture, essentially. And there are also built-in rules for portents adapter or hexagonal or onion architecture, you name it, or layer architecture and so on. So it's quite easy also to enforce the architecture of your code. There are a lot of use cases depicted on the site. And again, in this case, well, I am a Maven user. You can also use it with Gradle. So just add a dependency and write test, essentially. I think that you don't see anything here, so we can switch back to the code and arc test. So in this case, we have some test that essentially, we are. It's okay. What we ask is that no class should be used Yoda time, because we have now Java util date. We don't want to use Java util logging, and we don't want to use commons logging. This is custom, so this is a custom rule. These are references to internal rules of ArchUnit itself. And if, for example, I go there and I uncomment this line, what happens? Java to login. Ah, okay. Okay, perfect. Now we can run the test. Should fail. Demo effect. What about it? Fail, because we for some reason somebody defines a logger using Java to logging, and the test it's failing again. So if you push into production, into your CI, something that or you push something without executing the test on your machine, the CI will fail because the code is not compliant to your rules. For example, we are using it to enforce some rules on REST endpoint, so we need some annotation for OpenAPI, for example, description and some other things that we want that the OpenAPI definition on our REST API is filled it for documentation. Again, we removed a lot of when you have a lot of third-party dependencies. It's easy to have on board in your code base something that you don't want: commons logging, Java util logging, log4j, Quarkus logging, and so on. So you need to avoid the use of some transitive dependency that they are there just because you are importing something. And moreover, the fact that you can write rules that are checking also your architecture can reduce the time of a code review, because when you, of course, when you review the code on GitHub, it's not so easy to understand what's happening at the code structure, but if you have a test that fails, it's far more easier. Okay, so write the test. We brought the test was failing. Demo. So you can keep the code compliant. You can spend less time on code review, spotting system out, and because as Venka said, The scope of a code review is not to blame people about white lines, braces, and you forgot a system out. It's about domain logic, improve the code. I've got your code is good, but maybe we can use a different data structure, or I discovered another library that is doing this thing another way, and it is far better, and so on and so on. So that's why I'm very happy to come here just after Venkat. And so in this way, you can spread love also in your team, because you don't need to fight about system out. I always forgot system out in my commit because I am one of the developers that don't use profilers and don't use debug, and I'm an old man. I prefer to use system out to debug my code. Okay, and now last tool that was well, with this tool you can essentially automate refactoring at scale. OpenRewrite. I was so fast. Okay. So with OpenRewrite, you can enable large-scale distributed source refactoring for framework migration, vulnerability patches, and API migration. Okay. What does it mean? Imagine you have a big project based on JUnit 4, and you want to migrate it to JUnit 5. You can do it by yourself, by hand. It will take you a lot of time, and it's also tedious. It's not very funny, and you can do it in automated way with OpenRewrite. Same for example, you have all the tests written using assertion, JUnit's assertion, and you would like to migrate all to assertj. You can do that. You have an old code base on Java using mostly Java 8. Somebody is still on Java 8? Okay. Java 11? Okay. Java 17? 21? Okay. Do that, migrate. Do yourself a favor, migrate to Java 21. Or for example, okay, the IDE is able to remove unused imports, but maybe it will take longer, or you can do it on a regular basis automatically. And of course, general cleanup based on some rules and so on. Yes. No. No, it's so the question is the tool able to migrate from Java 11 to Java 21 and spot that I'm using a class that could be a record? As far as I know, right now, no. But I think that you can write a rule that is able to do that. So, if you want, you can try. So again, we can add the plugin and add a list of recipes to be executed, and the tool and there are a lot of rules available. Small rules, combined rules, so a sort of composite rules that you can use together. And of course, there is also a YAML file to configure them if you want. And just run Maven rewrite Maven plugin run, and it does the job. Okay, let's see how it works from the command line on your machine, on your own machine. And then I'll be show you an idea that I have. It's not yet in production. We are discussing about it, on how to use it on the CI, but it's just an idea that you can take home, and if you like, you can implement it quite easy. So let's do that. Let's do a rollback. Okay. Okay. Let me check the test. No. No. Maybe here. Okay. Okay, let's say that we are a bad developer, and we wrote this test instead of using assert assertion, assert equals expected. Okay, now open, reopen. Okay. Oops. Okay, now it is applying the rules. Again, this works with compiled code, so the code should at least compile as ArchUnit. Okay, it changes at least Fitzbats arc test, I don't know why. And Fitzbats test. Okay. So it rewrote the assertion using assert because it was wrong essentially. Of course, there are some overlaps. You can have an ArchUnit rules stating that you should not use JUnit's assertion, and you can also, or you can prefer to do automatic refactoring. It's up to you. Okay. Maybe you have a very big code base and you don't want to impose rules for all the code base, but just for a new code. And then you would like to refactor the old code one package at a time. There are a lot of different contexts here, because when you have 40 developers and a big code base, you have to deal with it. So because maybe migrating the whole project to JUnit file in a single PR is too much, because we are going to touch, I don't know, 2,000 files, and nobody wants to review 2,000 files. So in this case we can also push it. Let me push it. Okay. Let me create a PR. May not be. and selection as URL. So let's go to the open the PR. Okay. Now I start to check the PR. Why I open a PR? Because, and here is the next section of the, where is my presentation? Okay, here. Okay, so you can execute this refactoring, automatic refactoring on the developer machine by your own. But the idea here is to execute them on the CI. When? So in this case, my idea, and we are still discussing about it, it's to execute this kind of refactoring after the PR proposed by the developer is merged. So when the PR is merged, there is another workflow that executes the refactoring and clean up the code, remove, I don't know, system out, or in this case, migrate to AsterJ, whatever. And if files are changed, it opens another PR, a sort of cleanup PR or chore PR, call it whatever, with the best name you want. And so you have just to reapprove this, remerge it to have the code also cleaned. Another way is to add also the automatic refactoring to the build itself. So the build will fail if something is changed, because it means that the developer didn't run the OpenRewrite Maven tool on its own machine because pushing. This is not, it's more about process and decision of the process, agree on the process, than which is better. So we should have a green PR, I guess, I hope, maybe. Not yet. So essentially we have a dedicated workflow that is called clean code, that of course do the usual stuff. So it runs per commits as well, check out the code, and then execute just the rewriter run plugin. If there is some changes, it opens another PR and push the code on that PR. So you can accept that refactoring. You can also get rid of it, closing just the PR that the automatic workflow open. And I think that we have something here. Yes, we have an old PR that was proposing something like, in this case we had, can you see it? I don't think so. Okay. In this case we had a logger using a string concatenation, and there is a refactoring rule that is able to move this to parameterized logging automatically. So this is something that maybe with ArchUnit you are unable to spot, but you can spot it with automatic refactoring, and it's one of the rules that is you can use, and it's available. I think the rule is Mergify, sorry. Rewrite. So we have a rule for removing unuser imports, order the imports, logging instead of using systemr, use a logger, and upgrade to Java 21. SL4J best practices is at least another. It's a composite rule that uses some different rules to enforce some better use of logging. Java concurrent API, JUnit to SRJ. So you can add a lot of them because there are a lot of rules. Let's see if the pull request, refactor. Okay, it takes some time, and I think that another one was different, maybe, or maybe it was no, it was the same. Okay. So in this case, we should have also, but okay, we can merge without taking care. Confirm squash and merge. Okay. Now, if we go to action, clean code. Okay. Insert it again. So just because we have merged, the clean code action started and try to apply the automatic refactoring, and we'll open something. We'll open another PR. We should wait a bit. Okay. Okay. So as I said, this is an idea. So in I'm pushing this idea of doing the refactoring after the PR is merged. Just because sometimes I don't need that refactoring, or I don't want that refactoring, even if there are some rules and we as team, we agreed on that rules. The other way is to add these steps on your build. So again, if the developer didn't install pre-commit, didn't run the test on its own machine, didn't do the refactoring, polluted the code with string concatenation and wrong assertion, the build will fail. And so you can avoid to start to complaining about that on your code review. Let's see. Ok, qua, perfetto. Request, c'è aperto, ok, clean code, file changed. I think that now we have again some string concatenation. I don't know if something else. Okay, two string concatenation essentially. So I can approve, merge again, go back to my code. So in the log I have the refactor. That was my pull request, my modification, and also the clean code one. Okay, the message of the commit is not very useful, but you can of course customize it and use more reference, maybe referencing the previous one or the issue if you are using some hook to the issue itself. So you can have also all the merging to related to the issue. For example, on Jira, if you use that nightmare. Final thoughts. 10 minutes, perfect. Okay, so as I said, what we try to do is to have less fighting, less what the fuck moments, less stress, and focus on the business logic, on the value that the PR is providing to the code, to the customers, to the product itself, instead of blaming people about silly things that could be solved automatically, essentially. In this way, we can also improve the code quality and spread peace and love. When you work with 40 peoples, you need that people don't fight each other and don't start to insult each other on the Slack channel. It just happened 1 week ago, so but I think that every company has its own problem. Fortunately, not in my area, but it happened. So some references. Pre-commit, ArchUnit and OpenRewrite links. There is also my small project. In that project, you can find a pre-commit configuration, OpenRewrite configuration, a sample test. You can find something more because the code is the code itself is silly. It's just a fits bars, of course. Have you seen? But there are 3 modules, so you can see that there is the core, the business logic of FitzBats, a CLI tool, and a web interface for the same logic. And it also creates Java native images. So you can find a lot of different stuff. Also the GitHub action for creating native images for Mac, Windows, and Linux at the same time. Okay, we have some minutes for questions, I guess. Microphone.
Thank you for the presentation. I have a question about ArchUnit. I have a very small experience with it, but the problem I had with ArchUnit was, how do I test my tests? In terms of, I need to break my architecture in order to prove my test initially works, or is there a better way? In terms of TDD, I need to make my test red before making green, right? How do you do that with ArchUnit?
It's like a chicken and egg problem. Of course, if you start, I think that if you start on a greenfield project, it's easier. Okay, if you have all the legacy code written 15 years ago, start small. So, for example, you spotted that you are using 3 different login systems. Okay, clean it up and add a rule. You spot that you are still using Yoda time and now you don't want it. Add a rule and remove the old code, and so on and so on. Then, if you have an established architecture that you can see, or it's well documented, add rules to enforce that. Then you can also, of course, modify the architecture and modify the rules. But start slowly with something, 1 rule at a time. If you resolve a problem, if you remove something, if you remove a dependency, if you spot that you are importing a class from a package that is wrong, for example, you are using a repository or a DAO inside a controller, remove it and add the rules that you don't want that. So it's more or less the same what you do with the test. Just spot 1 problem, add a test, and so on and so on. Okay?
Thank you. And since ArchUnit works on bytecode, on the bytecode, does it work also with other languages other than Java? For example, Kotlin?
Yes, I think it works. It works also with Kotlin, but I didn't test it sincerely because right now we don't have any Kotlin code base. So it's a good idea. I think I will add some Kotlin on my repository just to test it.
Okay, we'll try.
Because Kotlin was so fun. Now I'm not working in Kotlin anymore, but it was so fun.
Thank you for presentation. About OpenRewrite, do you think that it's always safe? For example, if you make user reflection or something of this kind, you experience that there are some changes that then cause some problem
Okay,
that you have to monitor?
I used it to migrate some projects, some code base, for example, from JUnit 4 to JUnit 5. What I can say that on big projects, it does 80% of the work. Okay, so you have to fix something manually and spot the problems manually. But so 80% of the works is done, 20% of the works doesn't compile. So it's evident that it's there, it's not working, and you have to fix it. That's my experience. Maybe with better code bases, you can also get better results. And about something like reflection, etc., sincerely, I don't know. I never had this kind of problem. Right now, I use it to migrate from JUnit 4 to JUnit 5. I have another PR open for migrating a whole open source project from JUnit to SRJ. And it did a very good work. There was something where we had some cast and so on. He wasn't aware to. It wasn't able to do that. So my experience is quite good. One more question? Hey, Mama. Hey, Mama, I made a presentation. I made Voxet.
Okay. My question is about ArchUnit.
Okay.
So as far as I understand, ArchUnit is in one repo, in one project. So you write like JUnit test suites in that project, your ArchUnit.
Multi-model project?
Not multi-model, but my question is, if I have rules, in company-wide rules, can I create a project and apply it for all these repos?
Yes, you can find some
best practices.
Yes, you can find some documentation on their site, and there is also another project doing that. It is also not so easy to use it on a multi-model project, but we were able to do that. So we have some tests executed on a single module, for example, just for the REST API. And we have some general rules executed on the whole project. Then you can have also an external project with rules that you can apply company-wide, just importing the project. But I'm not doing that right now. So you can find some documentation and some it's on the internet. Okay. Okay, I can see you, so because there is the light on my face. 1 minute. Any other question? Okay, I give you back 1 minute of your life. Have a nice day. Enjoy the conference. Thank you very much. So I will be around all the day long. So if you have any question, anything, just stop me and ask. Thank you very much. Bye.